Hey everyone, it's been a while since I've posted a brew day video, so welcome. This is going to be my first brew day on the new Brewtools B80pro. I'm brewing a coconut IPA. The weather's improving, it seems like a good beer to have on tap. So I'm going to throw up the Brewfather recipe on the screen so you guys can take a look at that. There's a minor change that I've made to the recipe in so much as the hops. So I have changed the mosaic, which is the hop in the late part of the recipe, in the dry hop for Sabro. Figured it would be a perfect hop for this recipe, being a coconut IPA. Apparently Sabro has elements of coconut. This is a virgin brew on the new system. It's a bit of a test. I'm not really sure what I'm going to expect. I'm adjusting the water. I'm using RO water for this, just a pale ale balanced water profile. Mashing at a relatively mid temperature, just to balance the fermentability. I want this to be a relatively dry, balanced pale ale. I'm using USO5, so just a dry yeast. I will be fermenting this in my Firmzilla under pressure, and I will be adding a dry hop of Sabro and also 250 grams of toasted coconut. So, hello.
Are you talking to the camera?
Yeah, I'm talking to the camera. Sorry about that. Just had a little visitor who instantly picked up the camera and shook it about and ran off with it. So hopefully I'm still in the frame. So the coconut dry hop I'm planning on putting into a hop bag. I know from past experience how messy this beer gets, especially in the whirlpool. So there'll be 250 grams going into the whirlpool. So again, I'm going to be using a bag for that because it just clogs everything up and can make a very messy cleanup. And I am also putting the coconut into a bag that will go into the fermenter for the dry hop. So I've captured some brew day footage for you guys. It'll be really interesting to see how it goes, especially being the first brew day. So enjoy, and I shall give you a breakdown. This is going to be a grain to glass video, so you'll have a chance to see how the beer came out. I'll talk a little bit about how the brew went as well, and share warts and all. Good stuff. Thanks guys. Morning ladies and gents, so it's brew day upon us. I've decided to get up early this morning. Normally I'm a late night brewer, but today I've decided to get up at the crack of dawn and do a early brew day. It's brew day number 1 on the Brewtools B80pro. That might be why I'm up so early, because I'm as excited as a kid at Christmas. And so it has been circulating and coming up to mash temps, strike temps, for the last, I would say, half an hour. I've been incredibly impressed with how quickly it brought 25 litres of liquor up to temp. Target temperature right now is 69 degrees. It did that in about 20 minutes, which was incredible. So I've got a brew. I'm going to capture some brew day footage for you guys, and see you at another point. Good temp control. So Brew Day was an interesting experience. For the most part, it was really excellent. I really enjoyed brewing on the system. The recirc was excellent. The speed of heat up was brilliant. I used the delay start, although I ended up getting up earlier than I actually set it, thanks to the early wake up I got from the kids. But there were some issues. First off, I ballsed up the grain crush, so I was aiming for 1.2 mil, and I somehow managed to cock up the conversion from mils to inches. Now my grain mill, is marked in inches because it's Australian, so it's imperial. It's an Australian grain mill. I somehow managed to, I even put it into Google to do the conversion, so I ended up actually milling at something like 1.6 instead of 1.2. So the grain was way too coarse. I was a little concerned about it actually whilst I was milling the grain the day before brew day, but I thought, well, you know what, I need to just trust this. Brewtools say mill at 1.2, I'll go with it. There was a lot of grain, they were still intact. So as a result of that, I think it absorbed a lot more water. I ended up 3 litres short pre-volume or pre-boil. Efficiency was really poor, so I ended up with a 55% brew house efficiency, 62% mash efficiency, so it wasn't brilliant. So overall the OG was 8 points down at 10:37, and it should have been 10:45. Wasn't an issue at the end of the day. I ended up with a slightly more sessionable, slightly more drinkable beer, which is actually what I was aiming for. I pulled the grain basket by hand. The bench I have it on is way too high, and all in all I tried pulling it manually, and I ended up pulling it up above the centre pipe. The mash hat sparge thing came off. I think some grain fell through the hole in the filter, and I had a real hard time trying to get it back on. In fact, I may have even lifted the grain filter as a result, because the I'm not exactly sure what you call it, the centre pipe ended up pushing the filter up whilst I was trying to get it into the hole, and probably more grain fell through, so that was not ideal. So as promised, a grain to glass. Here's the beer. It's clarity wise, it's fairly hazy. USO5, it's fairly typical for not clearing up for quite a while. When I kegged this beer, the coconut aroma was absolutely insane. It was coconut for days. It's only been in the keg 3 or 4 days, and it's really died away. I think the coconut aroma is very volatile, so it will disappear quite quickly. The head is there, but dissipates quite quickly. It's not much in the way of a head, but that being said, it's not very highly carbonated. So I did hold it at pressure in the Firmzilla, so it came out semi-carbonated. I then kegged it. I actually ran out of CO2 gas whilst I was kegging it. Had a number of days where I had no CO2, particularly because of the lockdown. It was quite hard to source some, and it's still actually carving up. But what's really nice about this beer, because I have had a few already, is the fact that it's probably a bit more on the scale of like a real ale, rather than a highly carbonated kind of American ale. So and it actually really suits the style, so I think I might try and keep it that way. So the aroma is coconut, obviously, and there's like some very subtle tropical aromas, sort of tangerine, definitely some sort of not lemony or grapefruit citrus, but more orangey citrus aromas. Cheers, guys. And what you don't get from the coconut on the aroma, you get it in the flavour. Absolutely coconut for spades. Coconut in spades, should I say. There's some bitterness there. I was expecting some bitterness, that's what I was aiming for. It's actually really well balanced. It's kind of bitterness right the way through. It doesn't increase at the end. So I'm really pleased for how it came out. The body is quite thin. It came out at 3.9% in the end. It fermented a little lower than I expected. and as a result the body is quite thin, but what's pleasant is I was aiming for a really sessionable beer, and this is sessionable. It's thirst quenching, it's a real lawnmower beer. You know, it's tropical, it's got great coconut flavours, it's quaffable. I think actually it's really even more quaffable with the carbonation a little lower. So really pleased with this beer. Not quite how I expected it to come out, especially given the minor issues I had on the brew day with the new system, but not a disaster by any means at all. So very pleased with how this came out. I think it's complementing the beers I've got on tap very nicely, and I seem to be going back to it quite a bit compared to the rest, so that's normally a good sign. So cheers guys. If you enjoyed the video today, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Cheers guys, make good beer, drink more beer, take it easy.